One electric car brand that sold in Britain has already gone bankrupt, and the owners are left with vehicles nobody can legally fix. 6 more brands on UK forecourts right now are heading in the same direction. By the time we get to number 1, you will understand exactly why the badge on the bonnet matters less than the balance sheet behind it. Let's get into it. Number 6. Fisker. Fisker filed for bankruptcy in June 2024. The company ceased all operations, all warranty support ended, and approximately 10,000 Fisker Ocean SUVs, sold to buyers in Europe and the United States at prices between £37,000 and £65,000, became effectively unserviceable through official channels. Software updates stopped. Charging network agreements dissolved. The app that manages vehicle functions went dark. There are Fisker Oceans on British roads right now. They have no manufacturer warranty, they have no official service network. The only hope for owners is that third-party specialists develop the diagnostic tools and parts supply to maintain them independently. And that process takes years and costs money that most EV specialists will not invest in a brand with 10,000 total units worldwide. If you find a used Fisker at a dramatically low price in 2026, that price is telling you something. It is telling you what the market thinks about the long-term ownership cost of an electric car with no manufacturer behind it. Number 5. Vauxhall Electric Stellantis. Vauxhall is not going bankrupt, but the company that owns it, Stellantis, is in serious financial difficulty, and the consequences for British EV buyers are real and documented. Stellantis took a $26.5 billion write-down as it cut over-ambitious EV plans. The company reported a loss of $22.6 billion for the second half of 2025 as it realigned its EV product lineup to better match demand. Stellantis' CEO warned that the UK's quota system had been set at levels double the natural demand of the market, forcing car makers to sell vehicles at a loss in order to avoid heavy fines. He warned publicly, "To survive, companies have to stay in the black. I will not sell cars at a loss." The Vauxhall Corsa Electric, Mocha Electric, and Astra Electric all sit on the Stellantis platform. The company has been restructuring, closing factories, cutting jobs, and is now operating under a new CEO with a mandate to rationalize overlapping brands. The question for a British buyer considering a Vauxhall EV in 2026 is not whether the brand will survive. It probably will in some form. The question is whether the specific models you are buying today will have continued manufacturer support, parts availability, and software update coverage in 5 to 7 years. That question does not have a certain answer. Number 4. Alfa Romeo Electric. Stellantis has eliminated some planned fully electric models and delayed Alfa Romeo EV projects in Europe. The Alfa Romeo Junior EV was launched in Britain as the brand's EV flagship. The company has since scaled back its electrification commitments, and Alfa Romeo, already one of the lower volume brands in Britain, is now selling an EV in a market where its parent company has taken a $26.5 billion write-down on EV investment. Alfa Romeo has a long history in Britain of operating at low volume with thin dealer network coverage. The Junior EV is an expensive car relative to what it delivers, and the combination of Stellantis' financial difficulties, Alfa Romeo's marginal UK market position, and the general EV depreciation environment makes it one of the higher-risk EV purchases you can make in Britain in 2026. Number 3. MG KES. MG is owned by SAIC, a Chinese state manufacturer. The brand has grown rapidly in Britain on the back of aggressively priced EVs, and the sales numbers are real. The ZS EV and MG4 have both found genuine buyer audiences who appreciate what they offer at the price points MG is charging. The risk is not that MG will disappear tomorrow. The risk is specific to the EV ownership picture over a decade, and it has 2 distinct components. The first is reliability. MG carries the highest reliability risk of any brand in aggregated UK reliability data. What Cars survey puts MG last of every brand with a 38% fault rate, better than 1 in 3 cars needing unscheduled work inside a typical ownership period. Electrical issues, infotainment failures, and build quality that does not match what the brochure shows. For a petrol car, a 38% fault rate is damaging but manageable. For an EV where many faults require proprietary diagnostic equipment and manufacturer-specific software, a high fault rate intersects badly with a thin independent repair network. The second is the longer-term supply chain question. SAIC supplies the batteries, controls the parts chain, and manages the software ecosystem for MG vehicles in Britain. If MG's UK market position has changed in 2031 or 2032, if volumes have dropped, if trade dynamics between Britain and China have shifted, the cost and availability of the key components that keep an EV on the road may look very different from what the current showroom experience suggests. You are not just buying the car in front of you, you are buying a bet on where this brand will be in a decade. Number 2. Citroën Electric Stellantis. The Citroën Hive 2 is one of the most aggressively priced EVs in Britain, available from under £22,000, which in 2026 is genuinely remarkable for a new electric car with a useful range. That price point is doing real work in the market. For buyers on tight budgets who want to move into electric motoring without spending £30,000 to $40,000, the C3 is one of the few options that makes the numbers work. It is easy to understand why it is selling. The concern is structural. Citroën is a Stellantis brand. Stellantis has threatened to quit making vehicles in the UK unless the government eases electric vehicle sales targets, calling the zero emissions targets unsustainable. Stellantis has been selling EVs at a loss to comply with the mandate, covering the shortfall with profits from petrol models. That model is not sustainable as the mandate tightens year by year. Citroën operates at lower margins than the premium and high-volume brands in the Stellantis portfolio. In a genuine rationalization scenario, and a $26.5 billion write-down creates significant pressure for exactly that. Lower margin brands at lower volumes, with the most aggressive pricing, are the first candidates for restructuring. The AC3's low price is attractive. Make sure you understand why it is that low before you sign. Number 1. Fiat Electric Stellantis. The Fiat 500e is one of the most charming EVs in Britain. It is also the EV with the most uncertain long-term future of any mainstream model on sale. Fiat shares its parent company with Chrysler, a brand that already filed for bankruptcy once, in 2009, and has been operating at minimal volume ever since. That parent company has just taken a $26.5 billion write-down on its EV ambitions. The Fiat 500e is a high-profile model. It is also a low-volume niche product, sold at a price point that is difficult to justify without the brand mythology. If Stellantis needs to rationalize its brand portfolio, and the financial data says the pressure to do exactly that is significant, Fiat is among the brands that will face the hardest questions. Buying a Fiat 500e in 2026 means betting that this brand, within this parent company, under this level of financial pressure, will still be fully supporting your car's battery system, software stack, and parts supply in 2033. That is a bet some buyers will choose to take. Just make it with your eyes open, rather than on the back of a test drive and a monthly PCP figure. Here is a number the electric car industry does not put in its brochures. The average EV bought new in the UK right now will lose between 38 and 42% of its value within 3 years. For the worst models on this list, that figure is closer to 70%. On a £30,000 car, that is £21,000. Not spent on fuel, not on servicing, just gone. I'm a mechanic. I've run a workshop for over 20 years. I've got nothing to sell you. Let's get into it. Before we count them down, one thing you need to understand. There are two forces hammering EV values in Britain right now, and neither has anything to do with whether the cars are any good. The first is the ZEV mandate. Manufacturers are legally required to sell a rising share of electric vehicles each year. When they fall short, the fines are enormous. So they discount new EVs aggressively, particularly toward year-end, to hit their numbers. Every time a dealer drops the price of a new electric car, every equivalent used one nearby loses value the same day. It does not matter how well you looked after yours. The second is the fleet return wave. Between 2020 and 2022, company car tax on EVs was 1 to 2%, against 30% or more on a diesel. Fleet managers ordered tens of thousands. Those were 36-month leases. Since 2023, those cars have been flooding back all at once, and dealers are drowning in nearly identical 3-year-old EVs, competing for a buyer pool that cannot absorb them. When supply overwhelms demand, price goes one way, and from April 2026, EVs no longer get free road tax. New ones pay £200 a pure from year 2. Cars registered before March 2026 that were previously exempt now pay it too. Another cost that did not appear when you signed. Now let's name the 7. Number 7. The Renault Zoe. For years, the Zoe was the best-selling pure electric car in Europe. The problem is what has happened to it since. 3-year depreciation sits at approximately 70%. On a £22,000 car, you are left with roughly $6,600. That is not a typo. The reasons are not mysterious. Real-world range sits around 150 to 180 miles on older versions, while newer competitors offer 250 to 300 miles at similar money. The charging system is increasingly incompatible with the rapid chargers being rolled out across Britain. And Renault's EV restructuring has not helped residual confidence. A Zoe bought in 2022 is worth less today than some owners paid in monthly finance charges. Number 6. The Nissan Leaf, pre-2022. The world's first mass-market electric vehicle, on sale in the UK since 2011, and it genuinely changed the market. The older versions have depreciated at roughly 17% per year, and the earliest 24 and 30 kilowatt-hour examples are now trading under £5,000. The honest issue is not the car itself, it is the battery chemistry. Nissan used air-cooled cells in the early Leaf rather than liquid-cooled ones, making them more susceptible to degradation under frequent rapid charging. At 70,000 miles, some early examples are delivering 60 to 65% of their original range. On a car already limited to around 100 real-world miles when new, that is a serious problem. The newer 40 and 62 kilowatt-hour versions with liquid cooling are a different story entirely. But pre-2019 cars on the used market right now represent a genuine battery lottery, and buyers know it. The prices reflect exactly that uncertainty. Number 5. The Vauxhall Corsa Electric, the worst depreciation figure on this list. The Corsa Electric loses 72% of its value over 3 years. On a list price of £29,045, owners are left with approximately £8,300, over £20,000 of loss on a car the size of a Corsa. The reasons stack up. Stellantis, Vauxhall's parent, has been through factory closures and restructuring that does not inspire confidence in long-term brand support. The Corsa Electric shares its platform with the Peugeot E208, and software and charging issues have appeared across both. And then there is the market reality. Chinese electric cars are available in Britain now at prices not far above what a 3-year-old Corsa Electric fetches. When a buyer can choose between a used one with unknowns and a brand new Chinese EV with a full warranty for similar money, most are making the same decision. Number 4. The Volkswagen ID punch-free, pre-2023. The Golf of the electric age, that was the promise. The buy-again scores from early British owners tell a different story. Software that crashed, touchscreens that behaved unpredictably, an ownership experience that did not match the price. VW updated it repeatedly, and the post-2023 cars are genuinely improved. But the used market is now flooded with pre-update fleet returns, and those cars are being priced by dealers who need to move them. Annual depreciation on the ID TONT3 runs at approximately 17.8%. On a $35,000 list price, the 3-year residuals have caught a lot of first owners off guard. The motor and battery underneath are sound. It is the software history and the sheer volume of returns that are driving values down. Number 3. The MG ZS EV. Hit subscribe before the top 2. If a mechanic with nothing to sell is worth your time, you know what to do. The MG ZS EV sells on price, and for a new buyer that price is hard to argue with. The problem comes when you go to sell. MG is owned by SAIC, a Chinese state manufacturer. The sales numbers in Britain are real, but the residual value support that holds resale prices up requires dealer network depth, parts confidence, and brand history that MG has not yet built here. What Car's reliability survey puts MG last of every brand with a 38% fault rate, and that feeds directly into buyer hesitancy. The battery replacement question, which for any EV sits between £5,000 and £20,000 depending on pack size, is harder to answer for an MG than for a Hyundai or Nissan, because the long-term UK parts supply chain is still an open question. Buyers are pricing that uncertainty in. The used values show it. Number 2. The BMW i3. Genuinely clever engineering, carbon fiber body, innovative packaging, a driving character unlike anything else in this segment. And it has depreciated at a rate that reflects how niche all of that turned out to be. The range is the core problem. Real-world figures sit between 100 and 160 miles depending on version. In 2015 that was competitive. In 2026, buyers can find used Hyundai Ioniqs and Kia e-Souls offering 250 miles at comparable prices. The rear hinge doors, unusual interior and shade mode charging on early versions all narrow the buyer pool further. And a narrow buyer pool means the seller absorbs the gap. BMW i3s that cost $25,000 to $30,000 new are trading under $8,000. The gap between what the badge implied and what the market will pay is where the loss lives. Number 1. The Tesla Model 3 2019-2021. This will surprise people, and I understand that. Tesla has the most proven electric drivetrain on the road. The supercharger network is the best in Britain. None of that has stopped the depreciation. A Model 3 that cost £40,990 new is trading today between $12,000 and $15,000 with 30,000 to 50,000 miles. That is over 25,000 gone in 3 to 4 years. The reason is structural. Tesla has cut new car prices repeatedly since 2022, on some variants by over 20%, because Chinese competition has forced their hand. Every cut to new prices drags used values down immediately. The owner, who paid £40,990 down in 2021, is now competing with a dealer offering a new Model 3 for £33,990 down with a full warranty. That maths does not work in the seller's favor. The honest other side, at $12,000 to $15,000 as a used buy, that same Model 3 is extraordinary value. Proven drivetrain, working supercharger network. Someone else has absorbed the £25,000 hit. Every car on this list is a loss for the person who bought new, and potentially a significant opportunity for whoever buys it second. 7 cars, 7 sets of numbers the salesperson did not put in front of you. The ZEV mandate, the fleet return wave, the road tax that landed in April, none of it was in the brochure. The depreciation never is. What is the biggest financial surprise you have had owning an electric car? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. You know what to do with that subscribe button.